Good morning, dear students. Our next session that is regarding the mechanism of interaction of different electromagnetic radiations with matter. Mechanism of the interaction of electromagnetic radiations with matter. And also along with that I am discussing the different types of spectra and different types of spectra. So far we have seen the different types of electromagnetic radiations, isn't it? Microwaves, then radio waves, then IR radiations are there, visible radiations are there, UV rays are there, isn't it? So these radiations, while they are interacting with a molecule or with a substance, the substance might be in the liquid state or it can be in the gaseous state. Normally we are using it in the liquid state, okay, liquid state or in the solid state. Normally we are using in these two states for taking the electronic spectra, for taking the different spectra. So when when this electromagnetic radiation, when it is passed through this substance, what happens is that this electromagnetic radiation normally it is associated with both electric as well as magnetic fields, isn't it? This electromagnetic radiations, they are associated with electric and magnetic fields. And what happens is that when this electromagnetic radiation, when it is passed through a substance, this electromagnetic radiation will be interacting with the particular molecule or atoms, whatever it is present, okay, or it will be interacting with the molecule. And also, while considering the case of a molecule, this molecule, it is the simplest form, it is the atom. And also, while we are considering the molecule, it will be having a nucleus as well as electrons, isn't it? It will be having a nucleus and electrons. And what happens is that this electromagnetic radiations, it will be interacting with the nucleus as well as the electrons, okay. And also several molecules are there, so we can say that this electromagnetic radiation will be interacting with the nucleus, the electrons as well as the molecules. And as a result, some changes will be occurring in the nucleus as well as electrons, or electronic changes will be there, some molecular changes will be there, and also some nuclear changes will be happening as a result of the interaction of this electromagnetic radiations, okay. There will be nuclear changes, some electronic changes as well as some molecular changes occurring in that particular substance, okay. So as a result of this change, what happens, these changes will be generating some magnetic moments or some electric moments, okay. These changes will be generating some magnetic moments, and they will be interacting with the electromagnetic radiation, or that will be interacting with the electric and the magnetic field associated with the electromagnetic radiation, okay. So in short, we can say that the molecules will be interacting with the change inside the molecule, it will be interacting with the electric and the magnetic field associated with the electromagnetic radiation, okay. And as a result, what happens is that several changes, molecular changes will be happening for a particular, for different molecules. And also we had gone through so many electromagnetic radiation, and also mainly you have to study some of the electromagnetic radiations. For example, the first one, you have to see the interaction of radio waves with this matter, okay. So first of all, we can go through this interaction of radio waves with this matter. So radio frequency waves, or in the radio frequency region, normally while it is interacting with a molecule, what happens is that normally this atom will be having a nucleus, and this nucleus means it is a tiny charged particle, isn't it? Nucleus is a tiny charged particle, and this charged particle, as a result of the interaction of the radio wave, this nucleus, it will be having a spin moment, isn't it? It will be having, the nucleus will always be in a spinning motion, and as a result of the spin of the nucleus, what happens? A magnetic moment is generated within that particular atom. Okay, as a result of the spin of the nucleus, a magnetic moment is generated, and as a result of the magnetic moment, what happens? The nucleus will be behaving as a magnetic dipole, or that particular atom will be behaving as a magnetic dipole, and this magnetic dipole will be interacting with the radio frequency waves. This magnetic dipole will be interacting with the radio frequency waves, and this will be interacting only. This radio frequency waves means it will be having a particular frequency as well as a particular wavelength, isn't it? So at this particular frequency or at a particular wavelength, this will be interacting with that particular this atom. The magnetic dipole moment, it will be interacting with the radio frequency waves at a particular frequency, and as a result, what happens? An absorption or an emission spectrum will be obtained. An absorption or emission spectrum will be obtained as a result of the interaction of the radio frequency wave with the magnetic dipole of that particular atom or molecule. An absorption or an emission spectrum is obtained, and this atomic or emission spectrum, as a result of the interaction with the radio frequency waves, that is called as the NMR spectrum, that is nuclear magnetic resonance spectrum. Nuclear magnetic resonance spectrum. Okay, so as a result of this NMR spectrum will be observed on, and also this NMR spectrum, it will be obtaining at a frequency of 5 to 100 megahertz. NMR spectrum will be observed at a frequency of 5 to 100 megahertz. So this is the interaction of radio waves with a substance or with an atom. Okay, so first we have to consider the nucleus of the atom. Nucleus will be having a spin moment, and also it is a charged particle. As a result of the spinning motion, it will be developing a magnetic moment. As a result of the magnetic moment, it will be generating a magnetic dipole. This magnetic dipole will be interacting with the electromagnetic radiation, or it will be interacting with that part of the electromagnetic radiation, that is the radio frequency part of that electromagnetic radiation, and as a result it will be absorbing a light radiation of a particular frequency, that is radio frequency waves will be absorbed or emitted. As a result, we will be obtaining this NMR spectra, nuclear magnetic resonance spectra, and it is about the frequency, it is about 5 to 100 megahertz. Okay, so this you have to go in detail, this NMR spectra etc., you have to go in detail. So that is the first case of radio waves. Then the second electromagnetic radiation we have to consider, that is the microwaves. Microwaves. See here, in microwaves, in the case of microwave region, so what, suppose consider a molecule HCl. See this HCl molecule, it is a highly polar molecule, isn't it? That means it will be having a positive charge and a negative charge, H plus and Cl minus. That means this molecule, it is having a permanent dipole moment. Since the molecule is polar, it will be having a permanent dipole moment. Okay, so what happens is that, suppose this is the molecule, see one positive charge and one negative charge this is having. So a plus charge, then a minus charge. Okay, so I am representing it in the form of charges. Okay, so while absorbing this radiation, or if the molecule it is having some energy, what happens? The molecule will be rotating. Normally, the molecule, if it is having a minimum amount of energy, the molecule will be rotating. So as a result, what happens? This, suppose this is the HCl molecule, this is the H part and this is the Cl part. Okay, so the molecule will be rotating. So again, in the next rotation, what happens? If like this, it will be rotating, then the positive sign will be coming here and the negative sign will be coming here. Okay, then again the molecule will be rotating like this. So negative charge will be coming upside and the positive charge will be coming down. Again the molecule will be rotating, then what happens? Here the negative charge and here the positive charge. Okay, so likewise the molecule is rotating all the time, and as a result of the rotation of this particular molecule, it will be having a dipole moment. Okay, it will be generating a permanent dipole moment. And also this rotation, rotation is happening all the time, or the rotation, it is periodical. Okay, the rotation of this particular molecule, it is periodical, and as a result, what happens? As the direction of rotation changes, what happens? The dipole moment also, the direction of the dipole moment also changes. Since the molecule is rotating, the position of the molecule is changing, and as a result, the direction of the dipole moment will also change according to the rotation of that particular molecule. That means the direction of the dipole moment changes means we can say that there will be a fluctuating dipole moment. Okay. There will be a fluctuating dipole moment for that particular molecule. Okay. So this fluctuating dipole moment of HCl molecule, this will be interacting with the microwave radiation. Okay. This fluctuating dipole moment will be interacting with the microwave region of the falling electromagnetic radiation, or it will be interacting with that part of the electromagnetic radiation. Okay. Hope you are clear. This HCl molecule, it is highly polar molecule. It has got a positive charge and a negative charge. Highly polar molecule, hence it has got a permanent dipole moment. And also the molecule will not be in rest. The molecule will be rotating. And as a result of the rotation, it will be moving like this. Okay, plus charge coming here, then negative charge like this, it will be rotating. And also the rotation, it will be taking place in a periodical manner. And also as a result of the periodical change, what happens, there will be, as the direction changes, the direction of the dipole moment will also change. Therefore, we can say that there is a fluctuating dipole moment. And this fluctuating dipole moment, it will be interacting with the microwave radiation. And while interaction, what happens, there will be some emission or absorption of the radiation. Okay, as a result of the fluctuating dipole moment, there will be an absorption. There will be an absorption or emission of the radiation. Okay, as a result of this interaction. So, as a result, what happens? A microwave spectra will be obtained. A microwave spectra will be observed, or else we can say that it is a rotational spectra, microwave spectra, or otherwise we can call it as a rotational spectra, because see here the molecule, see HCl molecule, it is rotating, isn't it? As a result of the rotation of this particular molecule, what happens? A spectrum will be generated, isn't it? So as a result of the rotation of the molecule, a spectrum is generated, hence it is otherwise called as rotational spectra or microwave spectra due to the absorption of the microwave radiation. So this principle normally we are using it in our microwaves, isn't it? You all know this microwave oven is using this microwaves, isn't it? So here this microwave spectra or rotational spectra, the essential requirement for a molecule to give a microwave spectra is that it should have a permanent dipole moment. This point is very important, very important. That is, for a molecule to show microwave spectrum or a molecule to give microwave spectrum, the essential requirement for a molecule to give a rotational spectrum or microwave spectrum is that the molecule should have a permanent dipole moment. Okay, so that is very important. For example, HCl molecule, it is microwave active. So such type of molecules will give which gives a microwave spectra, we can call it as a microwave active molecule. Okay, that molecule we can call it as microwave active. That means those which is having a permanent dipole moment, that particular molecule will be microwave active. So for those which are not having a permanent dipole moment, that means it will be microwave inactive, just the opposite. For not having permanent dipole moment, it will be microwave inactive. So here normally all polar molecules will be microwave active. Exceptions are there. Even then we can say that all polar molecules are microwave active. Polar molecules means it will be having a positive and negative charges, isn't it? So such type of molecules will be microwave active. Normally we can say that heteronuclear diatomic molecules, it will be microwave active. Heteronuclear means a molecule which is having two different atoms, or there will be some electronegativity difference between the two atoms. For example, HCl molecule, we already seen it is a heteronuclear atom. That means two different atoms are there. and also there will be a large electronegativity difference. So such type of molecule, it is a polar molecule, isn't it? So this type of molecule will be giving microwave spectrum, or this will be microwave active. Then another molecule, carbon monoxide, C single bond O. Here also there is an electronegativity difference, isn't it? Carbon is slightly positive, having a positive charge, and oxygen, it will be having a slight negative charge, isn't it? So this carbon monoxide, it is also microwave active. So microwave active, this is also microwave active. Then another molecule, NO. Here also electronegativity difference, and the molecule is polar. So this is also microwave active. So these are some of the examples for the molecules which are microwave active. The molecules which are microwave active, that means polar molecule, and also they should be heteronuclear. Heteronuclear molecules will be polar, isn't it? Then some other examples. See here, for example, H2, hydrogen molecule. Is there any electronegativity difference, or the molecule a polar one? No, there is no electronegativity difference, and also the molecule is not at all polar, isn't it? The two atoms are the same. That means they are homonuclear diatomic molecule. Okay, so this type of molecule, homonuclear diatomic molecule, will not give microwave spectrum. Okay, so homonuclear diatomic molecules are microwave inactive. That means the molecules are not polar, so that means they are microwave inactive. So homonuclear diatomic molecule example, the first example is H2 molecule. Similarly, N2, nitrogen molecule, then O2 molecule, etc. They are all, I am not putting the double or triple bonds, I am simply writing the skeleton only. Okay, normally it will be O double bond O, N triple bond N, isn't it? So this type of homonuclear diatomic molecules, they won't give microwave spectrum, or it will be microwave inactive. Okay, so the essential requirement for a molecule to be microwave active is that it should have a permanent dipole moment. So homonuclear diatomics will not give microwave spectra, while heteronuclear diatomic molecules will give microwave spectra, or they will be microwave active. Then some exceptions are there. In the case of carbon dioxide, in the case of carbon dioxide molecule, see, CO2 means C double bond O, double bond O. Let us avoid the double bond. That means it will be, you have to just write the skeleton, COO. Okay, so here this carbon dioxide molecule, it is, here carbon has got two delta positive. This oxygen will be having delta negative. This oxygen will be having delta negative. Okay. That means, suppose we cut the molecule at this point. Okay, suppose we are cutting the molecule at this point, we will be having two symmetric halves, isn't it? Or we can say that the molecule is symmetric by cutting at this point, isn't it? So this molecule, it will be, it is a symmetric molecule, isn't it? A symmetric molecule, it will not be having a permanent dipole moment. Okay, so this symmetric molecule, it will not be having any permanent dipole moment. Therefore, what is your assumption, or what is the observation for molecules having no dipole moment? That means the molecules will be microwave inactive. Okay, so this particular molecule, carbon dioxide molecule, is microwave inactive even though it has got a carbon and oxygen bond. There is a slight electronegativity difference between the two, isn't it? Carbon and oxygen, it is having a slight electronegativity difference. And also, in normal case, we can say it is a heteronuclear, isn't it? Heteronuclear triatomic molecule. Even though it is heteronuclear, we can say that this molecule will not have a permanent dipole moment due to the symmetric nature of this CO2 molecule. Hence, it is microwave inactive. Similarly, one more example, carbon disulfide, CO2 and CS2, both of them are microwave inactive. This is very important. These points you have to study very well. This spectroscopy chapter, it is very important. If you understood this, the principle behind the spectroscopy, it is very easy to study, and also very important also while considering your examination point of view. Okay, so so in general we can say that this microwave active, the essential requirement is that it should have a permanent dipole moment. Heteronuclear diatomics will be giving microwave spectrum, Then exceptional cases are there, carbon dioxide molecule and carbon disulfide molecule, both of them are microwave inactive. Okay. So this is about the microwave spectrum, second one. And then the third one, that is the IR region, infrared region. Infrared region. See here, in this case, in the infrared region means, see here, this infrared radiation, it will be interacting with the vibrational changes occurring in the molecule. That is, if the molecule it is having a vibration, this IR radiations will be interacting with the vibrational motion. And as a result of the interaction, if the molecule it is vibrating, see, suppose a molecule, suppose this is a particular molecule, 3 atoms are there, and suppose the molecule is vibrating. Vibrating means it will be elongating to this point. Okay, at one particular point it will be, or we can say it will be like this. So if it is elongating, this bond is elongating, it will be extending to this point. So this is the normal position. Okay, that means a stretching vibration is going on at this point, isn't it? A stretching vibration occurs for this bond. At the same time, the other bond, it will be remaining as such. So this is a normal mode. Okay, this is a normal mode and this is a stretching mode. So this is the normal position of that particular molecule. Then again, if there is a compression occurs for that particular bond, see, suppose for this bond there is a compression. So this is the normal position or the normal length of the bond. If this is the compression, so what happens? That particular bond will be compressed and this will be in the normal position. Okay, so this is the compressed part and the compressed mode, and this is the normal mode. Likewise, if a molecule is vibrating, it will be undergoing 3 types of vibrations. The first one, that is the stretching vibration, and the second one, that is the compression vibration. Second one, that is the compression vibration, and the third one, that is the bending vibration. So if a molecule is vibrating, it will be having these 3 modes of vibrations: the stretching mode of vibration, compression mode of vibration, as well as the bending mode of vibration. You have to take the example for as a rubber band. Okay, rubber band, while we are stretching, it will be stretched a lot, isn't it? And also while we are releasing the energy given, what happens? It will be compressing, or it will be back to its position, isn't it? So similarly, the case of bones also, similarly the bones will be stretching, compressing, as well as bending. Okay, so here as a result of these vibrational changes, what happens? There develops a dipole moment for that particular molecule. Okay, this dipole moment, as a result of the vibrational changes or the vibrational motion, this will be interacting with the IR radiations. Okay, this will be interacting with the IR radiations, and as a result a spectrum will be generated, and that spectra we can call it as the IR spectra, infrared spectra. That spectra we can call it as the infrared spectra, or we can call it as the vibrational spectra. So vibrational spectra normally arises as a result of the interaction of IR radiations with the matter. Okay, so IR spectra or vibrational spectra. And also, while considering the case of vibrational spectra, we can say that while vibrational spectra is happening, it will be having the molecule will be having rotational changes also. Okay, along, that is, a very small amount of energy is required for a molecule to rotate. So while we are considering the case of a molecule, the molecule will be at a time, the molecule will be having rotational changes along with vibrational changes. That means if the molecule is vibrating, then it is understood that the molecule will be rotating also. Okay, that means very small amount of energy is required for a rotational transition. We already seen the Bohm-Oppenheimer approximation, isn't it? That is, E rotational, it is less than E vibrational, which is less than E electronic, isn't it? So for a molecule to rotate, it requires the least amount of energy. Then much more energy is required for a molecule to vibrate. Then again more energy is required for a molecule to have a transition from one electronic state to another excited state. Okay. So if a molecule is vibrating, that means the molecule will be rotating. The molecule will be having rotational transitions along with vibrational transitions. Okay. So a vibrational spectra or an IR spectra means it will be having this vibrational as well, or it will be accompanied with vibrational as well as rotational transitions. Okay. Then we can go through one of the example, that is carbon dioxide molecule, CO2 molecule. And also here I am not drawing the double bond etc. of this CO2 molecule. And also CO2 molecule, C single bond O, single bond O. So this is the normal mode of vibration of carbon dioxide molecule. Okay. So again, suppose if the molecule is stretched, see here, if the molecule is stretched, what happens? It will be like this. Okay, see here it is having a slight positive charge, negative, negative. Here also this molecule, it will be having a slight positive, slight negatives. Okay, so this is the normal mode of vibration of CO2 molecule. And what about this one? This is the stretching mode of vibration of this CO2 molecule. Okay, then again compressed mode of vibration. So it will be like this, the two bonds will be compressed. Okay, so this is the compressed mode of vibration of that particular molecule. So here a simultaneous stretching of the two CO bonds are there, isn't it? This is the normal mode, or this is the normal bond length of the CO molecule. And if the two bonds are stretched simultaneously, what happens? So we can say that, see here this is having a simultaneous stretching. The two bonds are stretched equally to the two sides, isn't it? So this is a stretching mode, and also it is a simultaneous stretching mode of vibration. Okay, so this is a simultaneous stretching mode of vibration. Simultaneous stretching mode of vibration. And as a result of the simultaneous stretching, what about the symmetry of this particular molecule? The symmetry is okay, isn't it? That means the molecule is symmetric while it is stretched to the two directions, isn't it? The molecule is not unsymmetric after the stretching, isn't it? Already in the normal mode, the molecule is symmetric, and also while stretched simultaneously, what happens? The molecule is symmetric, isn't it? So this simultaneous stretching frequency, it is called as the symmetric stretching frequency. This simultaneous stretching, it is called as the symmetric stretching vibration, or symmetric stretching vibration. Symmetric stretching vibration. So the simultaneous stretching results in a symmetric stretching vibration. And here in the case of a symmetric stretching vibration, what about the dipole moment of that particular molecule? The dipole moment will be 0. Okay, the dipole moment will be 0, and therefore we can say that this particular stretching mode of vibration will be IR inactive, or the molecule will not give an IR spectrum in this symmetric stretching mode of vibration. Are you clear? So this particular molecule, it will be, if it is having a symmetric stretching mode of vibration, the dipole moment will be 0, and also the molecule will be IR inactive. Okay. Similarly, consider the case of the compressed mode of vibration. See here for the compressed mode of vibration, the two bonds are compressed simultaneously, isn't it? So the symmetry of the molecule, see, the two bond lengths are the same. So that means the molecule, again, it is symmetric even it is having a compressed mode of vibration. So here this compressed mode of vibration, it is also having a dipole moment 0, and also the molecule will be IR inactive. Okay. And again, we can go through the next case. So we have discussed the symmetric stretching as well as the symmetric compression. Okay. Then again, we can see this asymmetric stretching vibrations. Okay. Asymmetric stretching vibrations. I had a tendency to write in short. Please be sorry for that. So this asymmetric stretching vibration, consider the molecule. See, this is the normal mode of vibration of carbon dioxide. Okay. See, for asymmetric stretching means the molecule is not stretching simultaneously. Suppose This is the normal bond of mode of the CO molecule, and this particular bond will be stretched. Okay. So this particular bond will be stretched. So what happens here? There will be, is the molecule symmetric at this stage? No, the molecule is asymmetric, isn't it? The molecule is asymmetric. So at this stage of asymmetric position, what happens? The molecule, it will be having a dipole moment. Okay, the molecule will be having dipole moment if it is having an asymmetric stretching vibration, and therefore at this vibrational mode, the molecule will be IR active. Okay, at this asymmetric stretching vibration mode, the molecule will be IR active. Similarly, we can consider the case of compression vibration. See, this is the normal mode of stretching, normal mode of vibration, and again this is the compressed mode. Okay, see the bond length for the normal mode, this is the normal mode, and see in this case the bond length has a little bit reduced, isn't it? So this is the compressed mode of vibration. Compressed mode of vibration. Again, if we are considering this particular molecule, whether it is symmetric or asymmetric, the molecule is asymmetric, isn't it? So here also the molecule is asymmetric. Therefore, the molecule will be having a dipole moment, and therefore we can say that it will be IR active. So this is how we have to consider the case of vibrational modes. So while considering the vibrational modes, we have to consider three types of vibrations: stretching, then compression vibrations, and also bending vibrations. Then we have discussed till now the stretching vibration as well as the compression vibration, and also for stretching and compression, if it is symmetric stretching and compression vibrations, then the molecule will be IR inactive. Okay, and for asymmetric stretching and compression vibrations, the molecule will be IR active. Okay. So let us write the asymmetric stretching mode of carbon dioxide molecule. Okay, so this is CO2 molecule, normal mode of vibration. Then the next one, so here this is a normal mode of vibration. Almost the bond length are the same. So here the dipole moment will be 0. I am marking it as a dot. That means the dipole moment will be 0. Then the next one, the asymmetric stretching vibration. Suppose this bond elongates or this bond is stretching, and this is the normal position of CO bond, normal length. So here it is asymmetric stretching. So as a result of asymmetric stretching, there will be a dipole moment. Okay. Again, the molecule, this will be coming to the normal position. So CO, CO. Again symmetric, so no dipole moment. Again it will be vibrating. Then again CO, again this bond elongates, so a fluctuating dipole moment will be there. Okay, then again normal mode. Okay, normal mode. So here again the dipole moment will be 0. Then compression mode. Compression mode means here one of the bond, that is this bond, will be compressed, and this is the normal mode. Again dipole moment will be there. Similarly, you can draw, isn't it? So an alternate dipole moments will be generated, isn't it? Here that is for asymmetric stretching or asymmetric compression vibrations, a dipole moment will be generated. So that we can say that there will be a dipole moment, and also at these vibrations the molecules will be IR active. So these vibrations the molecule will be IR active. This will be giving IR spectrum, and these positions they will not be giving any IR spectrum. Okay, and also similarly there will be bending vibrations, the third category, that is the bending vibrations. So this is the normal mode of vibration of CO molecule, and if the molecule it is bent, it will be like this, COO. Okay, so at this due to this bending vibration, the molecule it will be having a dipole moment. Here it is having a dipole moment 0. Again the normal mode of vibration, C single bond O, no dipole moment. Again the bending vibration, it is bending, it will be of two types, that is in plane bending and out of plane bending. This is in plane bending and this is out of plane bending. So here there is a dipole moment. Okay, here also alternately the molecule will be IR active. And also normally this vibrational or IR spectra, it will be occurring at a frequency range of 500 to 4000 centimeter inverse. IR spectrum will be occurring in between a frequency of 500 to 4000 centimeter inverse. Okay. So this is about the IR spectrum. So here you have to consider the stretching vibrations, compression vibrations as well as the bending vibrations. The symmetric stretching as well as compression vibrations will not give a IR spectrum, or it will be IR inactive. Those molecules which will not give a spectrum or IR spectrum, we can call it as IR inactive or microwave inactive. Here also symmetric stretching or symmetric compression, it will be IR inactive, while in the symmetric stretching vibrations it will be IR active. Okay. Then the fourth one, that is the visible and UV region. Visible and UV region. See here, normally this, in the case of visible and UV regions, the valence electrons will be while this substance will be absorbing the electromagnetic radiation from the visible as well as or the UV region, the valence electrons will be excited. Okay, the valence electrons will be excited from a ground state to a higher energy state. So as a result of the excitation, what happens? An electric dipole will be developed. An electric dipole will be developed, and as a result of the electric dipole, this will be interacting with the which part? With the visible or the UV radiation from the electromagnetic radiation. So this electric dipole, it will be interacting with the electric field of this electromagnetic radiation or the UV or visible region, and as a result it will be giving an electronic spectra. You have heard of this electronic spectra, isn't it? So here the valence electrons will be excited from the ground state to the excited states, and as a result it will be generating an electric dipole. This electric dipole will be interacting with the electric field of the visible or UV radiation and give rise to this electronic spectra. And again we have seen this electronic spectra, it has got the higher energy, or a molecule should give electronic spectra if it is having the maximum energy, or it should have a greater energy for while comparing with that of a rotational or a vibrational, isn't it? Rotational, it is the least amount of energy, or a molecule to rotate, it should have least amount of energy. Some more energy is required for it to give a vibrational spectra. Then for an electronic spectra, it requires greater amount of energy. Okay, so if a molecule it is giving an electronic spectra, that means it will be associated with what all transitions? It will be having rotational transitions, vibrational transitions as well as electronic transitions, isn't it? So if a molecule it is giving an electronic spectra, means it will be so the molecule will be having rotational transitions, vibrational transitions as well as electronic transitions. And as a result, while taking the electronic spectra of a molecule, this electronic spectra, it is a much complex one. The electronic spectra is a much complex one, since it is having both rotational spectrum, vibrational spectrum as well as electronic spectrum. Okay, so all the three will be included in an electronic spectrum. So it is a much complex one. And also this electronic spectra, normally it will be occurring in the frequency of 12,500 centimeter inverse to 25,000 centimeter inverse in visible region. Okay. If it is absorbing from the visible region, it will be occurring at this particular region. And also if it is absorbing UV radiation, then the range it is 25,000 to 70,000 centimeter inverse if it is in the UV region. Okay, so this is the spectral range if for the spectra to occur. This is the range. Okay, so this is about the visible and UV radiation. You have to note these points also. Hope you are clear. Then the next one, that is the fifth one, that is Raman spectra. Sometimes you might have studied, isn't it, Raman spectra. See, Raman, in all the other spectra, that is, we have seen rotational spectra, then vibrational spectra, electronic spectra. In all these cases, we had seen the emission or absorption of radiation, isn't it? Either the radiation is absorbed or emitted. That is how we will be obtaining a spectra, isn't it? Absorption or emission of radiation. But here, in the case of Raman spectrum, it deals with the scattered radiation. Okay. It deals with the scattered radiation. You have to go in detail also. This is just an overview of all the spectra. Okay. So in case of Raman spectra, it deals with the scattered radiation. Here, the absorbed radiation is not considered. Only the scattered radiation is considered. Okay. And also, the essential requirement for a molecule to be Raman active is that it should have electrical polarizability. The essential requirement for a molecule to have to exhibit Raman spectra is that the molecule should have electrical polarizability. Okay, that is the important point to be noted. And also, when light passes through a particular substance, or when electromagnetic radiation it is passed through a substance, either it may be a gas or a liquid, what happens is that some of the radiations will be absorbed by the molecule and some of the radiations will be scattered. Okay, so the study of the scattered radiations, it is what is dealing with the Raman spectra. Okay, and also here this Raman spectra, usually it will be occurring in the visible region. The study will be carried out in the visible region, and it is about the frequency, it is about 12,500 to 25,000 centimeter inverse. Okay, the frequency region, it is about 12,500 to 25,000. So this is about the introduction part of Raman spectra. So it deals with the scattered radiation. The essential requirement for a molecule to be Raman active is that it should have electrical polarizability, and the frequency range or the spectral range, it is between 12,500 to 25,000 centimeter inverse. So that is the fifth one. Then the last one, that is the ESR or EPR. The sixth one, the ESR or EPR. ESR means electron spin resonance spectroscopy. Electron spin resonance spectroscopy. Or EPR means, both are same. EPR means it is electron spin resonance spectroscopy or electron paramagnetic resonance spectra. Electron paramagnetic resonance spectra. Okay, ESR or EPR. So here this ESR or EPR, it arises due to the transitions between the electron spin energy levels of a molecule. It is due to the transition between the electron spin energy levels of a molecule in an applied magnetic field. And also here this electron spin resonance, it is occurred by, see the term itself, electron paramagnetic. Paramagnetic means the molecule will be having unpaired electrons, isn't it? So this type of spectrum, it will be observed in molecule having unpaired electrons or odd electrons. Okay, so this type of transitions will be taking place in molecules having unpaired or odd electrons. Normally we can say that they are free radicals, isn't it? Free radicals, it will be having an unpaired electron, isn't it? So free radicals, transition metal ions, etc. This type of transitions will be taking place. So for these type of molecules, this ESR or electron spin resonance or electron paramagnetic resonance will be occurring, and normally this ESR spectra will be occurring in the microwave region. It will be occurring in the microwave region, and also the range, it is between 2 to 9.6 gigahertz. Okay, it will be between 2 to 9.6 gigahertz. So this is about the different types of spectra and also the interaction of how it will be interacting with the electromagnetic radiation. This is the overview of all the spectra you have to study, and also you have to go through in detail each and every spectra. Okay, so for now you have to study this much. So in the next class, I will be taking the rotational spectroscopy. Okay. Thank you.